Live.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. And welcome to our Behind the Chair segment. My name is Melanie Bolton. I'm with Flow Hair Care here on behalf of West Coast Beauty. And today I'm going to be showing you a way to create a bombshell 90s supermodel blowout. So we're going to be talking about ways that we can increase the volume in our clients' hair, give them something that's really fantastic and really over the top, but also techniques that are a little bit faster in the salon, ways that we can share that with our clients, and ways that they can do that at home today. So today I'm here with Flow Hair Care, and I'm going to be talking about the products that we're using on Mercedes as we go. Roz is on the other end, our VP. She is answering questions. So if there's any questions that you'd like to ask, she will field them on that end. And so I'm going to start right away with talking about what we're doing with Mercedes hair. So the very first thing I like to share with you guys is we have to analyze the texture that we're working with. So when you're choosing the products that you would like to do, like to use, we really want to analyze what texture we're working with her hair. Are we talking about a C3, C4 tight curl? Are we talking about something a little bit looser or some silky texture? So with Mercedes, she has a little bit of curl in her hair. So what I've done ahead of time is I've prepped her and used All Day Tame, our smoothing balm, all the way through her hair, combing it through her ends. So we've started with that all the way through her hair. And what we're going to do with our client is we're going to isolate her from experience, isolate her into 4 sections. So we're going to determine where her part is. And I'm going to just turn Mercedes' head a little bit. Now I've completed the back section for you so we don't go all the way through. But a little trick to share with you guys. If you see back here, this is the mastoid bone. And when I like to take my side section, I want to make sure it's behind the ear at the mastoid bone so that way I have more hair to style and to deal with. So I find when we section sometimes ear to ear, it's too shallow of a section to get that bombshell kind of juicy hair that we like to look. And we take a look at that 90s vibe of hair. It was very bouncy, lots of movement, lots of shine. So we want to make sure that it really has a lot to showcase around in the face, okay? So we're going to isolate this out, and I'm going to go ahead and start on Mercedes' right-hand side. So this is Mercedes. She is our house model with Flow Hair Care, and she is here today, as always, showing her gorgeous hair. So the very first thing we're going to start is prep with thermal protector. This is our Radiant Armor. Now, guys, I really want to share with you, hairdresser to hairdresser, please practice safe hairdressing and always make sure that you're using thermal protection and heat protection. So this is something that's been a really wonderful experience for me as an artist. I do a lot of styling. So this product I use on all of my blow styling clients, but I also use it for all of my heat styling clients as well. Any sort of heat styling I use. It's got a wonderful little bit of grit to it, a little bit of hold to it, so it helps me in my direction of blow styling. So as you notice too, before I go ahead and start taking that section out, I make sure that the product is evenly applied all the way through, okay? Also, before we get started on Mercedes blow dry, we want to make sure that her hair is about 85 to 90% dry before we get started. A lot of times you'll notice with novice stylists is that they're starting with really wet hair and also without hair sectioned out. So if you have a little bit more control over it, and we've determined and got rid of most of the dampness before we get started, you'll notice that you'll have more control over your sections, more control over the hair that you're working with. But also too, it's not going to take you a long, long time because today time is an essence. And also too, we want to make sure that our clients are looked after. We have enough time to look after them.
What's the best way to take the moisture out? With a towel or rough dry? What do you recommend?
Thanks for bringing that up, Ross. Thank you for asking. What I like to do is just to show you, I like to rough dry at the roots before we get started. And if we're creating something, I want to share with you, hairstylist to hairstylist, we want to start where we want to finish. So if you want to create volume, I like to create volume right from the beginning. So I lift hair up right from the beginning. If I want it to be smooth, I push the hair down, right? So when I'm doing this circumstance, Ross, I like to lift it up before I get started and make sure the majority of the dampness is out of the hair. So I like to share this. We don't call it blow drying, we call it blow styling, okay? Because the hair is mostly dry. We're gonna finish and style with this, okay? So as we're doing, I'm gonna take this section and we're gonna start with larger sections. So I like to work around the shape of the client's face because I like to have her engaged in this. So whenever I'm doing this in the salon, I'm going to get you slightly turned, sweetie. I always try to do this in the front of the face first, so that way she can see the amazing result right away. And I use the corner of her eyebrow or the arch of her eyebrow as a reference point. I'm just going to go ahead and isolate that out and get that out of the way. Now, my hairstylist. If you're used to working with your blow dryer like a gun, that's totally fine, okay? So just so you know, this is our tool. So as we move this, it decides how we direct the blow or how we direct the flow of the air and how we have control over it. So with this 90s blowout, we really want to make sure that it has lots of bounce and lots of shine. I'm going to choose to hold my hairdryer like this for education so you can see more of my technique. But if we want to, we'll see that catch, Ross? Right? If we want to, of course, we can still hold like traditionally, okay? So just so you know, I'm holding this more for education purposes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we have our round brush. Before I start with this, I want to share with you that 90s blowout is about having distance away from our face. So before we get started, we really want to make sure that we're lifting this up. We're going to introduce our round brush to the section. And what I want to share with you is when we are working with this, we want to start where we want to finish. So when I'm working with this, I want to elevate the section to make sure that I'm up on base. Now I notice a lot of novice stylists, when they're working with this, or people who are not used to that volumizing, they're literally pulling the blow styler before them. So just to show you the difference, what we don't want to see is we don't want to be pushing the hair down because that is smoothing the hair and making it flat. So what we're going to be doing is elevating, going up on base and focusing onto the curl end of the brush. Into the root. And you'll notice what I like to do is just pull away and come up and pull away and let that sit. So when I'm doing this in the salon, Mercedes, you have some audience participation. Thank you, darling. Okay. So when we're doing this in the salon, I find a lot of times what happens is we're not comfortable with it. We really are uneasy with our tension. So I want to make sure that our tension that we're using is tight when we're pulling down to the cuticle, making sure that it's smooth so we have that shine, but we also don't want to have too much tension where this brush gets stuck in her. Okay. So you're noticing that I'm just very relaxed and we allow the tool to do the work for you. Okay. Once the section is here, we want to make sure that we set this because when we're dealing with great heat styling and great with blow styling, we have to allow this section to cool properly in order for it to achieve its total set. Now, from experience, I've tried this without allowing it to set, and I'm here to tell you, I guarantee you, it will not last as long as it will if we don't have time for it to set. So what we're going to do is just unwrap this, just like it's the most beautiful ribbon, and wrap it around your hand. Do you see how it just wants to go around like that very easily? And we're just going to tuck that in easy peasy. I'm going to take one of these guys. All you hairdressers, we know we have these everywhere in our house. And just go ahead and isolate that. So you notice that she's staying up on base. Notice that she's right equal with the section that we're using, but also too that this has time in order to cool so that we can have that optimum bounce and that optimum shine. And now I'm going to work on to the next section.
Here's a question from Christine.
Yes.
Do you also over direct forward to straighten out her frizzy areas of the hairline?
Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing this up. We always have to analyze the type of texture that we're dealing with. Okay. So if she's very, 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 very curly and very frizzy through here, what I might do is kind of slightly pull up out away from the hair and smooth that in this circumstance. And the reason why I want to pull away from her face is because this 90s look is all about the distance away from her face, right? We really want to make sure that it's kind of pulling away from her eyebrow. So I like to pull out this way, if that makes sense, for that blow dry. Okay.
Great.
Thank you for bringing that question up. Thank you so much for asking that. All right, and now we're going to go on with this next section. So as you can notice, while I'm isolating out too, I'm taking large sections. So they're roughly about the same circumference as whatever size brush that you're choosing to use. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and elevate this, really focusing on the smoothing. And I want to remind you guys that airflow is very, very important for blow styling. Now I notice a lot of novice stylists really have it's right on the brush. And there's no airflow when we're doing that. Also too, we could be burning hair, okay? So you want to make sure you keep distance. And notice what I'm doing is pulling away from her face. And rolling. And roll out. Roll in. Roll out. Roll in. And just relax. Now I find with this part when we're working with hairstylists in particular, when I take this section, this is why making sure that the section at the side of the mastoid is so thick. when we have this nice side section that's nice and thick, we have a lot of hair to work with, and it just gives it that more juicy looking blow style when we're finished, which is important because thickness and fullness is really a beautiful thing for this blowout. Okay, I'm gonna pull this over to the side. Okay, and again, so we really want to relax and notice that I'm just unraveling it like we're unraveling a ribbon, and see how it wants to spin around your hand for you. So I had very good advice early on in my career where my coach would say, allow the tool to do the work for you. Yeah. So this is what we allow this to do, is I allow that to go ahead and stream through. And we're going to have some time to isolate this. Now I'm going to get back into her fringe area because to me, that is the money section. So in my opinion, we want to make sure we finish that with a lot of love. So I'm just going to isolate that out again and kind of get it out of my way. And I'm a big fan of like working at the section that I'm in front of. Now, a lot of times people, novice stylists are like, well, I don't want to section out and I want to keep everything going at once. But if we're making sure that we're doing this correctly and for education, I want to make sure that we're doing it section by section so that we can understand what's happening. So I'm going to get you to just spin the other way, darling, all the way around. Okay, and then we're going to go work on the other side of Mercedes' hair. So while I am doing this, if you can see behind me here, while I'm isolating this.
So we have a question from Sheena.
Yes, Sheena.
Just wondering, is the dryer you using a Dyson, and how do you rate the Dyson hairdryer?
Thank you for bringing it up. I'm not going to lie. This is one of the second times that I've worked with a Dyson. It is a Dyson, and I like it. I just want to share with you is that there is a difference between blow stylers no matter what brand that you're working with. This is what they call an ionic blow styler. And I was explaining to Roz, it's like regular blow stylers. It's kind of like what they do is imagine your hair is a great big huge garbage pail. And the water molecules are actually basketballs that are in there. Regular blow stylers just kind of move the basketballs around until it eventually gets dry. An ionic dryer shrinks the water molecule down to like teeny tiny ping pong balls. And that means that the good moisture stays in the hair, and it usually takes a lot less time to dry, right? But to each their own. I really believe that artists work with the tools that they love, right? So I like it. I have to say I like it. It's a really nice tool.
What's the main difference that you find with the Dyson compared to other one you're using?
To be honest with you, the main difference I find is weight. Mm-hmm. It weighs a lot less, and I find it's quieter, which is nice. So sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I hope that answered that for you, dear.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you want to come right here, Rob, so you can see, again, this is a really great section so you can see how far behind that mastoid bone we are and how much space we have to go ahead and work with that section, right? Mm-hmm. So you're noticing that I'm pulling all the way through. And for example, guys, I find a lot of time with novice blow stylers is they keep back and forth. And really we want to set it in that round space. So I want you to go up onto the base. And really, we're focusing on the root. So what I do is just release and come back, release and come back. Now, one of the things that's so beautiful about this technique, my friends, is that you look like a professional hairstylist when you're done. What's wonderful about this is clients love the idea of feeling special and looking like things are set. And we were talking before we actually started about this renaissance of hairstyling that's kind of happening. Now, one of the things that's been really cool about COVID, not very much, is that we've had the opportunity to kind of reflect and rechange how we're styling. And so I'm noticing that, we're kind of getting back to this renaissance of styling and doing beautiful hair. And I do want to share with you too, there's something to be said about making your client feel wonderful. It's a noble cause. Our clients are coming in experiencing all the same things that we are. So I think there's nothing better than making a woman feel like a total babe when she's in the salon, right? So I want to share with you from experience, it's difficult for them to want to come in to see us the way that they used to. So I want that experience to be very special. And I'm really noticing this renaissance of styling, which is coming back, which is my favorite thing. So I do share that offering this to the client has been something that's been really rewarding, but also too, they feel very special and they feel elevated when they leave. And there's something to be said about a feeling in your space.
So Mary Beth is asking the question, what heat setting are you using to style?
Thank you. So this isn't hot heat, okay? I'm all about all the high heat, okay? And the reason I like that high heat is because I can really make sure that the cuticle is smooth, but also when it cools, it really cools, okay? So thank you for bringing this up. When we're styling hair, whether it be a roller set or any sort of heat set, you have to make sure that it's cool to the touch. Beforehand though, if we don't evenly heat it like a convection oven, does that make sense? So like when you put a turkey in the oven or something like that, it literally heats all the way around. So we want that to happen with hair. And I'm finding when we have really, really long hair, I want to have some distance and make sure there's enough heat. I want to share with you guys too that this thermal protector is hands down the best I've ever used in my career. So this is so wonderful for protecting her from any heat damage. And if she has been decolorized or if she's naturally blonde or naturally fine in the hair, to your point, we have to make sure that we're protecting it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going on here so we're on time.
Yeah. So here's one. Naringa has a question that says, if a client has very frizzy hair and stuck in the brush, what should you do?
Excellent question. Who's the name of the lady who asked that?
Naringa.
Narinda, thank you so much for asking that. I want to say thank you, okay? So ahead of time, when I was an apprentice, I'm not going to tell you how long ago because that's going to age me, but when I was an apprentice, this used to be a problem of mine. And the reason is because I was a really good hair cutter, and hair cutters are all about tension and strong sections. So if it's really frizzy, what I want to share with you is I would suggest that you smooth most of the hair out first before we do this technique. So what I would do is smooth most of the kink and the frizz out of the hair. The other thing I'm going to say to you is when we roll this, can you hold this here? When we roll this into the hair, okay, I'm just going to take this out totally. Look how pretty it's going to be. Our tension has to be relaxed, okay? So I find a lot of times we want to like push it up and really tight like a roller set. And we don't want to do that because the way these are actually constructed is to hold on to the hair naturally. So you just want to allow it to wrap and the weight will hold on to it on its own. Next thing, if it does get stuck, breathe. First thing I would say to you, because when you get upset and tight, usually what happens is that you get all freaked out and it doesn't come out. But I want to share with you, if it ever does, what I want you to do is relax and just pick the hair out piece by piece, and it will come out very gently. If you try to pull that tension out, well, you know, girl, it's going to stay in there forever. Did that answer your question? Yes.
Shane is asking, as for the products you're currently using, do they hold the style well in humid conditions like in South Florida?
Oh, well, my friend in South Florida, I am also on the East Coast. Humidity is our vibe. Yes. I'm going to share with you is our anti-humectant powers and flow hair care are some of the best in the world. And the reason is because of our hydration. Should I let that do that? Flow Hair Care is the only company in the world that has something called H5 architecture. And our H5 architecture system means that we can create a moisture bomb for all hair types. If you're dealing with humidity, we actually are dealing with moisture balance, as you know, okay? So they're not enough or too much and the texture will totally change. So whenever I'm doing blow styles, I have clients who will ask like, why do your blow styles last as long as they do? And the reason is, darlings, is because we used product before, okay? So I want to share with you, if you are in Florida, my friend, this all-day tame has been Florida tested. And the reason I'll say that to you is us Torontonians have something called snowbirds. They all live in Florida. So my clients actually will come and they go with this to Florida because of that different, humidity in the air. So I'm going to say it's probably the best anti-humectant I've used in my career. I hope that answered your question, dear.
Excellent. There's a lovely bag sitting behind you.
Yes. Can I talk about that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm so excited, guys, because we love to give away some fun stuff. So behind me right here, you guys, anyone who's asking questions has the opportunity to win all of these beautiful products. These are the products that I've used in total to prepare for Mercedes Total Look. So shampoo, amazing deep conditioning treatment, which we'll talk about later. Zero friction, which is a leave-in conditioner that will take a knot out of anything. The thermal protector, the 2 all-day tame and boundless body, and of course, our dry texture, the root reboot. So that you have an opportunity to win this if you make a comment on our live feed.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So tell us a little bit about West Coast Beauty as you're doing your next section.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. So West Coast Beauty, if I can share, is a revolution in our industry. So what's kind of amazing about West Coast Beauty, it's the first online distributorship of its kind. So what that means is that for me as a hairstylist, I can retail to anybody, anywhere. So what happens is my client can click onto my link. They can retail anywhere from any time, and we can ship to their client. But also, too, it means I can order and receive free product every single time that I order from this service. So What's amazing about West Coast Beauty is it allows me to shop on my time and retail on my time and my space. And there's been nothing like it in the world. We've been so far really successful, other stylists that are working with it. But also what it means is that we can retail 24/7, 7 days a week to any of our clients, and only professional beauty have the opportunity to purchase it.
Great.
Exciting.
And we have a question. What brand is the brush you're using?
This is called the Hothead Speed Brush.
Excellent.
And I want to share with you, I have this sweet lady, I call her she's the wisdom of tools. And she always tells me about the newest one. So she strongly suggested this, and I have to tell you, I love it. Okay.
How much of an impact does the brush have in a blowout like this? And what size brush should you be using?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Just like in any curl pattern or any curl thing we choose, the circumference of the brush is going to determine how much lift, how much volume, and how much smoothing we have. The smaller your round brush, the more curl we're going to get. And in this circumstance, we want some movement, but we don't want curl, okay? Also, too, her hair is very long. So in the reality in the hair salon is we have about half an hour to make her beautiful. We don't have a 2-hour blow style for her, right? So I'm finding is using at least 2.5, 3 inches in the barrel for longer hair. And there's larger ones that actually come up like this, right? But I want to say this one I find is like that perfect, kind of thing for super long hair and in between. So this is kind of my favorite size that I like to use. I think that's 3 inches, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it does really matter. Now I want to actually add to this, to your point.
Here's a question from Daisha. Do you have anything great for fine hair that will add maximum volume? Oh,
yes.
Boy.
Yes, I do. I want to share with you that one of my passions is I'm a master wig maker. So when you're dealing with wigs, sorry, you had schmutz on there. When you're dealing with wigs, you deal with a lot of hair anomalies and scalp anomalies, and people are losing their hair. So volume is my thing. It's something that I'm really going to have to outsource. And I want to share with you, darling. Can I grab this? Is that okay?
Yep.
This boundless body. Now, very honest, I was a mousse junkie before I started meeting this. And a sales rep actually offered this for me to try it because he knew that I was big into these blowouts. And I can say realistically, the architecture that this creates just is the best I've ever used. Also, I found that mousse lived a life in my chair. This lives a life until she washes her hair again. The memory and the lift that you get from this. So what we're going to do is focus on her regrowth when we're using this. And also too, I use it for roller sets and other things I like to create volume with. Does that make sense?
Yep. So mostly through the root, and then as you're creating sets, you'll put it through the hair.
Of course, right? Now, application is 90% of anything we do, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, we always have to apply it correctly. I always joke and say, like, you could have the best color formula in the world, but if you apply it on your shoe, who cares? You know what I mean? So we have to make sure we're applying it. So if it makes sense, bodying is about root from the architecture, right? Smoothing is usually about from the ends, okay? But that's why when we started this, I want to share it for anyone who's joining. Today, we're talking about creating that supermodel bombshell 90s blow style. So you do have to analyze what texture you're starting with first. Now, this technique can be used on all textures, but we want to make sure that we're using the correct product for the correct texture that's in front of us.
Okay, we have a question from Danielle, which is, she's also Florida, and
Hi, Florida.
She was saying, how long would you use the cold setting to set the areas, the sections?
Thank you for asking that.
There she goes.
Actually, if I'm being totally honest with you, with this technique, I don't really use the cold setting because by the time I'm up to the next section, a lot of this has cooled for me, okay?
So even in conditions where it's like hot in Florida, humid and stuff like that, would you not use a cold setting?
Of course. Now, of course, there's circumstances where you want to use a cool setting, but I'm really big on like 1,000, 2, 1,003 is like kind of my count for anything. So if I'm doing a hot shot, I'll go 1,000, 2, 1,003, and then a cool shot for about the same time. The key for having a cool shot is if it's still warm to the touch in any way, it's not ready to be released. Okay. So even if you have done a cool shot, I would suggest putting a diffuser on your blow styler and do a cool thing all over, right? To make sure that it's evenly cooled, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Great. So you're saying like let it set for a little bit.
Yes.
And then if you still feel the warmth, add your diffuser
Correct.
as like almost an overhead
A
dryer
little
for cool.
Yeah, a little coolness. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to the money section. So I'm just going to go ahead and isolate this out so you guys can see a little better. And of course, she has that beautiful curtain fringe, so we're going to acknowledge that in the next little bit. So at this point, I'd like her to have some audience participation. Okay. So I'm going to get her to tilt her head back a little bit. And this way you can see immediately that you're going to be lifting, okay, and not going towards the floor. Yeah. So we don't want to be pulling this down towards us when we're taking the section. Every time we're doing this, we're finishing, starting where we want to finish. We're lifting where we want to be, okay? So you'll notice where my brush is, okay? Just to show you how it looks when it's incorrect and how it looks when it's correct. Makes sense? We can see that we're on base. And when we say on base, if you look right, can you tilt your head towards her this way? Put your chin this way, honey. Now look at me in the mirror like this. Yeah, like this. Tilt your head. There we go. There, like she's pretty though. She's so pretty. Okay, so you take this section and you'll notice this is the base we're talking about. So we talk about being on base. When we roll, we're going to be finishing on base. Does it make sense? Okay. So we find a lot of times when people are going wrong with this is because they're pulling it towards them versus pulling it up towards the ceiling. Okay. So to share with you, because I want to show you this section, what I'll do is make sure those ends have a little bit of thermo and heat protector. And I always make sure that it's combed in properly.
Zaina's asking, are these products and brush available to purchase in Canada?
Yes. Absolutely they are.
Yeah.
I'm from Canada. I'm actually shooting here in Toronto. So yes, absolutely. Okay. Now I'm very proud to share with our product is that we are so proudly a sustainably made beauty product. We're very proud to say that we own our own LEED certified manufacturing plant. We're very proud to say that we are completely eco-friendly, vegan, and we'll be moving forward even further in the future to make sure that our sustainable methods get even better. But I'm very proud of how we purchase and make these products here, and the result is amazing. I don't know if hairdressers are like this, but if it's natural, that's great. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. So to me, what's great is that the performance of this is spectacular, and my feedback from my clients has been wonderful. And I want to share with you on that is that in Toronto, we have 187 different cultures. So to say that my chair is very multicultural is an understatement. So what's wonderful is I can share with you is that Flow Hair Care, I've tried on literally 187 different cultures. So if you notice that I'm wrapping that around and see how it just wants to wrap around for you, I notice this is when people like kind of freak out. So what I do is I do a little pinch and then tuck that end in. You see how chill I am too, guys? You just want to relax, eh? I always notice really great hair cutters and great colorists are so tense because you guys are so into sectioning, which is correct. But with styling, this is a cool thing. This is our fun. It's like cooking, right? Now, if you think about it, cutting hair and coloring is like baking. You have to be bang on. But the thing that's so amazing about this is just fun. You know, it feels good.
So Christina's asking, how do you get the baby hair to sit after blow drying? Because they always stand up.
They do always stand up. I'm going to show you a little trick what I like to do, okay? So what I like to do is remember that this is our tool. It's a directional tool, and directional blow styling is kind of my jam. So what I'll do is if there's baby hairs that are in places I'm not happy, I'm just going to turn the power down so you can see. As I literally kind of move them with the roll.
Oh, so you see them right in the set?
Yeah. And what's kind of great, and I'm so glad that you brought this up, this is one of the things I love about this bombshell blowout, is it's about movement and it's about freedom, right? So it doesn't have to be so like too sleek, you know what I mean? It's really about movement. And I really want her to be able to put her hands through it and feel it. So having some of that natural texture actually gives it that sexy look, if that makes sense, right?
And then,
so good. Right? So I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Toothbrush.
Okay. So she's talking about using the toothbrush for the smoothing. We can do that too when we're smoothing and finishing, but we'll get into the big finish when we're done. So right here in her fringe is her real, what I call her money piece. So we're just going to isolate that out of the way and make sure that it's perfect. So you're noticing with her head tilting back towards me, okay? That way my body is not moving too much and it's more of a comfortable situation for her. Now I found from experience, I don't want to tell you how long I've been doing hair for, but the more your body is comfortable, the less injury you're going to have to when you're doing this. So you notice that my body, my posture is good. I'm not forcing myself in any way. So it means I won't get injured over time as well. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and putting that thermal protector back in. And we're going to do this section. Are you enjoying it so far, my friends? I want to share with you guys that I'm very excited to do this today. Our team here at Flow Hair Care is very excited to talk about some really fabulous techniques for our fellow hairdressers, but also too the opportunity that we can purchase any product whenever we want to, 24/7, 7 days a week from our online boutique is so incredible. So it's been a huge opportunity. I want to share with you guys, have you ever had a circumstance too? This happens to me a lot. For clients, my friends who I'm not their hairdresser, will tell people I'm a hairdresser. And all of a sudden you're doing consultation, right, for clients. What's kind of neat about this now is that you can reach out to those clients too, anywhere you want. So put your chin back a little bit, dear.
So question came in as to, do you start this look from the bottom or do you start from top down? Like how does it happen?
Thank you for bringing it up. So when I started this, what I always share with folks is that I like to start this typically in the front. Now for this class, I've started in the back. Chin back, darling. Back, yeah. So for this, I started in the back, so because that's where the majority of her hair is, so that you don't have to see all of the sections. But I usually start my blow styles in the front, and the reason is because I like to see her reaction. She likes her to be part of it. So when she sees that piece that's coming down and it's amazing, she just kind of relaxes and she gets into it. She can't really see what's happening in the back. Now, on the other hand, too, if she has a boatload of hair, like if she has a lot of hair, remember, you still need to be a hairdresser. You still need to work with the hair that's in front of you. So if you only have 40 minutes and this is where the most of her hair is, start from the bottom and move your way up. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you hold this for me, dear? Thank you. And then we're going to just go ahead and pull this back. So if you can pull this up, Ross, so you can see for folks who haven't seen up here. Mm-hmm. Right. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and release it and turn it around my hand. Neat, huh?
Yeah. So how would you advise your client to recreate this look at home?
Great. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to be very honest with you and share is the cool thing about this technique is nobody's going to be able to do better than you as a hairdresser, which is kind of great. But how we can go ahead and style this at home is I'm going to introduce this to you guys. These are our Velcro rollers. And I'm going to show you after we blow style this how they can achieve this exact same look at home using these. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, too, making sure they have the proper tools. Nothing works but a round brush. Let's be honest. So when they ask me, how do you create this look at home? I start asking them questions. What kind of tools do you have at home? Do you have a round brush that looks like this? Do you have some clips that look like this, right? Because if they don't have those tools, there's really no point in talking about if the technique's going to work for them, right? So I make sure they have the right tools. The other thing that I like to do, and please steal this from me, guys, because it's been very successful for me, is every look that I do, whether it's a bombshell blowout or braids or a slick snatched ponytail or anything, I always put the products aside that go with it. So that way, if they want this look, the tools are one thing, but let's be honest, if they're not using our products, they're not going to achieve the look. Make sense?
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to keep on keeping on. Now, in Mercedes' circumstance here, I am going to do a little bit of smoothing because as we can see, she is quite curly through here. So I'm going to actually pull this forward just around this spot to make sure this is real pretty. And that color lovely, eh? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that out ahead of time, okay? So guys, please hear me. Please make sure you're using thermal protection, okay? If you've actually seen, what I've done this for clients is I've actually sprayed this on one side of a piece of bread and put it in a toaster, and then it comes out and the side that has been sprayed with this is perfectly white and not burnt at all. And I show that to my clients and go, that is why you use thermal protector. Okay.
That's a fancy trick.
Well, I'm all about show and tell with clients because clients sometimes don't believe all the stuff that we do. They think it's like, oh, okay, whatever. So I'm really big on show and tell with clients. I think that's really important. So I'm just going to shoot it like a gun now so I can move it forward for you. But I'm just going to smooth this a little bit because she's so curly. And I want to make sure that looks beautiful. Dyson's like wily.
Do you use more of the heat protection and products as you were doing the style?
Thank you for bringing that up. Every section that I put through, this is why I section it in 4 different spots, because I'm just working section by section. So as I spray per section, okay, if that makes sense. And that way I know that it's completely absorbed all the way through the hair too, because I am a bit of a control freak, if you know anything about me. Okay, so I'm just going to let this one relax. Now, usually with most, if her hair was a little bit longer through here, I'd pull it out, but I really kind of want to work on this fringe. So we're going to get back to that in a little second. Okay, so you can see that we've isolated this all out. Oh, geez, I'm probably not. We've isolated that all out. And thankfully, I'm done my blowout. Okay. So then once this is all out this way, I want you to go ahead and feel with your hands, okay? If in anything is still hot to the touch, my darlings, it is not ready to release, okay? So I like to time this for about 5-10 minutes, generally, to make sure that it's cooled.
And so when you're not obviously doing education, how long would this set take?
Thank you for bringing it up. And I've timed it. I am 25 minutes from start to finish on a regular round brush, okay? So with this, obviously, we've had to slow it down so that we can see the sections by sections together. But the point to this is to get a real va-va-boom effect without taking a lot of time, okay? Now, if we do have super curly hair in front of us, please hear me. You have to be a hairdresser and work with the texture that's in front of you. So we'll have to smooth that at first. But I do suggest doing a quick wrap dry, because you don't need to do a double blow style, if that makes sense. Just enough to get the frizz out, okay? All right, so now what we're going to do is take these out. And we can see that amazing bounce. Does it look good, guys? A little bit of bounce, a little bit of love, right? I love, because Mercedes has this audience participation, so it's fantastic. And you'll notice, you see all that movement that comes out. Notice all of that control that you have. And what's so nice is my clients, I always get them the audience participation, just like Mercedes is doing. See all that incredible bounce. Now, my friends, I sincerely hope you're enjoying some of these techniques today and seeing some of the result that we're getting. Does it look fantastic? Okay, a lot of bounce, a lot of body. And notice too that as I move it through, it's going to stay very full, very shiny with all this movement in body.
Daniel's asking, do you use a light hairspray before removing the clips?
You know, it depends on her hair type, to your point, okay? I'm very lucky with Mercedes' hair type. It's got a lot of hold. Do you know what I mean? She's got that little bit of soft texture, so it's got a little bit of hold to it. But if she's fine like my hair, yes, please, okay? And I want to share with you our Flex hairspray for that is incredible. So I love the Flex hairspray. And what I usually do is when I do my second shot with this or with my rollers, I'll go ahead and make sure that the Flex is through. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, darling, so I'm going to keep releasing this. And notice too how much body, how much movement she has. And also too, if we see it, we really did it in like a few sections, really isolated it out, get a few beautiful sections. And we can see too that her color is starting to come alive. Does she look good, darlings?
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
Okay, I'm going to tilt her that way. So now just to finish, so just so you know, from start to finish, we're looking at about 20 minutes in total. Okay, 25 minutes. And then what I want you guys to do is to take your favorite detangling brush. And what I like to do is put my hairspray on that. Okay, so just kind of gets a little bit of control. Tilt your head back, darling. I'm just going to move this back. Look at that hair. All that body, all that movement. Does it look good, darling?
Wow.
Okay, now to share with you a little pièce de résistance. Let's look at you in the front here. The big thing about this va-va-voom blowout is the distance between her face. So I want to share with you what I use my hairsprays when I'm finishing. So I just want to keep that introduced. I'm going to use one of these finishing clips just to make sure that we have that va-va-voom push and push that way. Now, our root reboot dry texture spray is what I like to do to create that extra boom. So you'll notice what I do is pull it right out around the front of her face and spray, and see by just massaging that in, look at how much distance you get from her hair. You see it? And same thing over here. So we do a shake, focus on the root. You feel like a supermodel, Mercedes?
Mm-hmm.
You look like one. And then what I'll do is just take, now I want to tell you, I'm a hairspray girl. I don't want to tell you how old I am, but we lived on hairspray back in the day. Can I just see the mirror a little bit? Yeah.
Sorry. And the question is, where can we purchase Flo?
So Flo Hair Care can be purchased through West Coast Beauty. You can purchase us. That is our national distributor in America. So anywhere in America that you are, you can purchase us at West Coast Beauty. If below today, you will see a link that you can sign up with us today, and we can get you sorted out for any of the products that we share. And of course, if you've made a comment, you'll have the opportunity to win all of these gorgeous products. So Mercedes, how do you feel?
So good.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Girl, take that mask off. Show us your face.
Okay, I'm going to move it out of the way so she is revealed, but don't be afraid to play with it so you can see all the feel. And before I let her go and do that flip, I just want to take that opportunity and thank Behind the Chair very much for having us here. It's an honor to share with fellow hairstylists. Hairdresser to hairdresser, we're all thinking about each other. Please stay safe. Try to offer different things that are beautiful that your clients can't do. And please come and see us at West Coast Beauty and with Flo Hair Care. So I'm just going to move it out of the way so she can do her reveal. Woo.
Oh, wow.
Looks so good.
I'm jealous. Thank you, everyone.